Okay, so we should be live streaming now.
Okay, we're good.
Oh wait, I just need to find my, there we go. Oh, Dwayne's on. Okay.
Did anyone? Oh, okay.
We are live streaming, so everyone is here now. And our two media are on standby for chat. So just a quick before we get started for our media, since Mary Louise, you weren't on Thursday, again, if you have a question, you want to raise your hand and then we'll recognize you at the appropriate time. The chair will allow for questions or comments prior to votes, and then at the end during the public comment part of the meeting. There are no individuals from the public that are on the call, so it's just the two media and the others on the screen. Okay, Mr. Chair. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We want to call the City Council meeting May 26, 2020 to order. Vice Chair Morales will lead us in the prayer and pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the technology that allows us to meet tonight safely during these unprecedented times. We ask that you watch over our city during this pandemic. Our thoughts and prayers are with those who are fighting the virus and to those we have tragically lost. Father, watch over the first responders, nurses, and doctors on the front lines of the battle. Be with those who continue to provide our city with everyday necessities, allowing us to shelter in place. Give strength to all those left without work. We ask that they return safely soon. Continue to guide us as a community to continue social distancing so we can help others with a greater risk of contracting the virus. We ask for your wisdom and guidance tonight addressing the city's business. Amen. And if you could join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Morales. Okay, Ms. Sherrill, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Keller,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Morales,
Here?
Mr. Wertz,
Here.
Chairman Carey.
Here, all present. Okay, on our agenda, first minutes from the February 24th meeting and the April 27th Zoom meeting have been dispersed to council. Is there any additions or corrections? Okay, hearing none, they'll stand approved. Council has also received a budget report from January 1st through April 30th, 2020. Mayor, could you bring us up to date on that, please?
Sure. So in comparing April of 2019 to April of 2020, with a little more than 33% of the budget year completed, April 2019 saw more than 36% of revenue receipts compared to not quite 28% in 2020. Expenditures were 24% for both years. And again, if you want me to go over some brief summary points, where we're seeing a loss of revenue is our real estate taxes are down about 800,000, rental property license 18,000, vehicle code violations 28,000, ordinance violations by police 3,000, interest income because the rate came down drastically by about 50%. We're down about 6,000. Rent of buildings 6,000, parking lot rentals 8,200. LCB 2,000, subdivision and land development fees 1,200, zoning permits 2,000, building permits 12,000, and meter revenue overall decreased by not quite $21,000. I would like to add something if I may, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So we've been working on an economic recovery plan for the city, and we discovered with some newly published information from the Center for Workforce Information and Analysis, and also through outreach from the Chamber and information from Keystone Collectors Group, who's our tax collector. It would appear that when the essential businesses, when the essential business order went into effect for 4/5, the number of initial unemployment claims filed rose, of course, dramatically. However, once the Small Business Administration, the PPE, the Paycheck Protection Program was implemented, the number of initial claims dropped. And additionally, that we know that the number of individuals then remaining on unemployment remained steady. So the PPP is definitely having a positive impact on the number of businesses that are able to retain employees or bring back their employees. So that's hopeful, that's good to know. Now, what happens at the end of that 8-week period of time, we don't know, but definitely the stimulus monies and the different programs that were released by the federal and state governments, it does seem to have helped in various facets of what's going on here. And I know I touched briefly on this, but the city is also, we operate like a business, and this, the pandemic has hurt us as well. Earned income tax is our largest source of revenue. Real estate, our second largest, and local services tax, our third largest source of revenue. And all of those have been dramatically affected. Worst case scenario, we're looking at approximately a $1.6 million loss of revenue for the year. Best case scenario, potentially $1 million loss. So we have, and we did this immediately, put cuts, drastic cuts to the budget. Anything that is really not a necessity has been cut. So we will continue to monitor the situation and make adjustments as we go. But I just want you to know that, of course, we are aware of this, and we are taking measures to help minimize the impact to the city. And in addition, are concerned for our businesses, and will be, trying to do even more outreach. And as we talked about at Thursday's meeting, putting out a small business assistance fund that hopefully will help some of our smaller mom and pops and possibly businesses who have not received any funding from any level of government.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Is there anyone from council that has any questions? Anyone from the media with questions?
No.
Okay, Mayor, I just want to again say thank you for the incredible job that you're continuing to do. We have to have such a tight ship right now, and we're glad that you're the captain of that, because it's a really tough job, and thank you for all that you're doing to keep things together.
I appreciate that.
Okay. We have on our agenda tonight 6 communications. The first one is from Mayor Sherry Capello, informing council of the appointment of Dr. Mary Ann Bartley to the Land Bank to fill the unexpired term of Craig Gates, effective April 15th, 2020. And Mayor, I know that Craig Gates has been doing a great job for us. Can you explain again what that change was?
Sure. So we had a vacancy on the zoning hearing board, and Mr. Gates desired to be appointed to that board. And based on his experience, we thought that was a good position for him. So you cannot serve, the municipality's planning code does not permit you to serve on the zoning hearing board and in any other elected or appointed capacity in the municipality. So he needed to get off of the land bank. The role that he served in on the land bank was as a civic organization member The land bank consists of members from the County Redevelopment Authority, County Treasurer, real estate appraisal industry, the City Planning Commission, and again, a civic organization. So Dr. Mary Ann Bartley serves or is involved with the Rotary. And so we asked her to serve in the role of civic organization member. Dr. Bartley was, of course, the Lebanon School District superintendent for many years and was a part of helping us to achieve our partnership with the school district when we first were considering implementing a land bank in the city. So she was very familiar with what the land bank stood for.
Okay. Any questions on that from council? Any questions from media?
No.
Okay, thank you. Our second communication tonight is from Mayor Sherry Capello informing council of the reappointment of Harriet Farron, James Snell, and Larry Stoller to the Housing Board of Appeals for a 5-year term effective May 1st, 2020, and informing council of the reappointment of Fire Commissioner Dwayne Troutman as an ex officio member for a 5-year term effective May 1st, 2020. Thank you that we have incredible people who are willing to step up and serve our city. Mayor, do you have anything to add?
Real simply, this is for appeals to the property maintenance code. And some of these members have been serving on this commission since it was formed. Harriet and James. I'm not sure about Larry. So it's rarely used, thankfully, but we of course need to have it in place in case someone does want to appeal a regulation of the International Property Maintenance Code.
Any questions from council? Questions from media?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our third communication tonight is from the City of Lebanon Planning Commission recommending the adoption of the proposed zoning ordinance. Mayor, anything to add to that?
Sure. Quickly, the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code requires the county and city planning agencies to review and provide a recommendation on a proposed zoning ordinance. So this would be in accordance with that code. And both pieces of correspondence do recommend approval.
Okay, and that takes us to our second communication involving that, and that's from Julie Shaney, Executive Director of the Lebanon County Planning Department, supporting the adoption of the proposed zoning ordinance. Any questions on that from council?
Laura has a question.
Okay. Ms.
Go
Laura?
ahead, Laura.
Hi, good evening. Just a quick clarification. Does that zoning ordinance, does that have a time frame on it, or does it stay in effect until portions of it or all of it is amended?
So you mean if an agency gives a recommendation, is there a time limit before the zoning ordinance needs to be adopted? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I know I meant based upon the discussion and some of the designations that Mr. Schmale talked about last week, I just wondered if this was a brand new ordinance, or was this just sort of refurbishing the existing one? And, you know, like almost like a comprehensive plan where you have to kind of update it every so many years. So
the committee has worked more than 2 years on this draft of an entire new zoning ordinance. The current zoning ordinance regulations have been in effect for more than 30 years. Now, there have been various amendments to it over the years, but there has been no rewrite. So in order to address maybe some sections and zoning districts that are not working well with uses that are standard for today, because 30 years ago, life was a lot different. Uses, we have uses today that we didn't have back then. There could be, and there are, changes to new statutory or case law, things that we need to update for that. Areas of inconsistencies. So this is, yes, a total rewrite. Most of the zoning districts are pretty much the same. We added one additional one as it relates to residential density. We have a low, medium, and high, or we will have a low, medium, and high residential district. But really the uses and some of the criteria for the uses changed, and we're trying to make it more user-friendly. This actually was a part of our early intervention program 5-year plan more than 5 years ago. And we've had several updates to that plan to incorporate some of the recommendations from that 5-year plan. Updating our zoning ordinance to assist with economic development was one of the action items. And so this is actually our 4th EIP assistance grant. And I guess that pretty much answers it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. That takes us to our next communication. It's from Yasmin Grayman, Acting Secretary of Transportation, PennDOT, transmitting notice of the 2020 liquid fuel tax fund payment in the amount of $773,144.73. Mayor, can you tell us where that went?
Sure. So this allocation is based on the total miles of streets in the municipality plus the population. And we have 96.75 miles of local streets in the city. That includes a little over 9 miles of turnback roads. I can tell you that last year we received more than 794,000. So it's a little less this year, but in 2018, it was 775, almost 776,000. So right about the same. It varies from year to year. But again, the allocation is based on total miles and population. And we use this money to pay for energizing streetlights, traffic signals, paving the streets, road salt in the winter, snow, oh my word, when we blow the snow, removal of the snow from the downtown area. And that's it for the most part.
Okay, thank you.
We
Any
have been
questions
using
from
it- I'm sorry, we have been using it for engineering for our big paving project at 42272 as well. Sorry.
Any questions from council on that? Any questions from media? Our final communication tonight is from the same lady, Yasmin Grayman, Acting Secretary of Transportation for PennDOT, transmitting notice of the 2020 road turnback annual maintenance payment in the amount of $37,240. And Mayor, do you want to add anything to that?
Pretty simple. It's an annual maintenance payment of $4,000 per mile. We have a little over 9 miles of turnback roads. And this is, it doesn't change from year to year. It's the same amount annually.
Okay. Any questions from council on that? Any questions from media?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we have 6 resolutions on the agenda tonight. The first one is resolution number 5, authorizing the proper officials of the city of Lebanon to file a grant application with the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the construction of a pavilion and restrooms at Coleman Memorial Park and for a connector trail in Coleman Memorial Park from 22nd Street to Airgood Drive. Do I hear a motion to adopt resolution number 5?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 5.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, moved in
I think
second.
it was Richard. Was it Richard?
I think it was Richard. Yep. Okay.
Oh,
Mayor, do you want to just fill us in a little bit deeper on this? This is with this resolution.
Sure. So the total project is $351,500. It has a 50-50 match. Coleman Memorial Park Board of Trustees, their portion of the project is the pavilion and restrooms, and that is $170,000. They do have their match of $85,000. The city's portion for the connector spur, which actually that's going to be phased, and this is just for the trail inside the park. That's in probably one of the most steepest areas. That is $181,500, and our match would be $99,750.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Okay, hearing none. Any questions from media?
Yes. Mary Louise. Go ahead, Mary Louise.
Right. What is the grant application for? How much money are you looking for the grant application?
Okay, no, wait. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh,
Could you
how
could you
much-
repeat?
Yeah, what is the grant for? I mean, how much are you asking for in the grant? How much money do you get for the grant?
Okay, so the grant, the total grant amount, the total project would be $351,500. It's a 50-50 match. So between the park board and the city, we would come up with 50% of that. And
Okay,
the
thank
park board, you're welcome. The park board's portion would be $85,000 for their projects, and the cities would be $99,750. And Laura also has a question.
Okay, Laura?
Yes, on the restroom and pavilion at the park, is this going to be new construction in both instances, the pavilion and the restrooms?
Yes.
And are we talking about a multiple stall situation for the men's and women's? And if so, who is going to be in charge of overseeing that there isn't vandalism related to, those bathrooms or, dirt and maintenance of them?
So the park actually has other restrooms as well. The park has a caretaker who resides on the property, and that gentleman would be security for the park as well, for this area, for the entire park.
And so where is this going to be?
It's going
the
to
park.
be near the tennis courts, correct, Janelle?
Yes, close to like the wedding pavilion. Over in
Okay.
the area.
And is this a pavilion that will also then be available for rental by the public?
Yes.
Yes. And actually, they would like to make this probably the most modernized one so that it can be rented out for weddings or be more marketable for weddings.
So, I mean, obviously it's going to have electricity. Is it going to have any sort of like a kitchen area, or, I mean, just electricity?
So I believe that they had to downgrade it. They initially had started off with a lot more amenities, but because of funding, because of the cost of the project, they had to scale back some of those amenities. So Janelle, if you want to add, I know it's going to have an improved electrical service compared to other pavilions and the restrooms attached to it, but I don't believe it's going to be enclosed, correct? Or will it be?
No, not at this time, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Resolution number 5 has been moved in second. Ms. Cheryl, will you call the roll, please?
She's muted.
I just unmuted you.
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Wertz, Mr. Wertz,
There, I
Sorry.
unmuted you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman Carey,
Yes.
It's technology.
Yeah. Okay. That's all moved. Resolution 5 is passed. All in favor.
Mr.
Thank
Chair?
you. Yes.
Mr. Chair, Mary Louise has another question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. That moves us to resolution number 6, supporting the County of Lebanon's filing for a grant application with the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for funding for phase 1 of improvements to the John E. Wengert Memorial Park located in the city of Lebanon, authorizing the mayor of the city of Lebanon to execute a memorandum of understanding between the city of Lebanon, County of Lebanon, Lebanon Valley Rails to Trails Incorporated, and the Lebanon Valley Conservancy. Do I hear a motion to adopt resolution number 6?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 6.
Okay, and do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
Chris.
thank you. It's been moved in second. Mayor, do you want to bring us up to date with the with this phase 1 of the John E. Wengert Memorial Park, please?
Sure. So the John E. Wengert Memorial Park is a memorial to John's dad, who was one of the founders of the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail. And of course, most of us know him as his father being one of the founders of Wengert's Dairy. This park is to help promote stormwater improvements to stormwater and conservation and things like that. And the park will actually supplement the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail. The rail trail will wind through this park, and in other phases, they'll have a pavilion, an entertainment area, possibly a bike park, an educational, not like what we would propose at Coleman's, but different amenities in the park, and hopefully some education on milking cows and things like that. Initially, when this park was first laid out, we had talked about educating the city kids, students on, you know, urban to country, the farming and milking cows and things like that. I believe there will also be some type of a butterfly garden or some type of passive area.
Okay. Any questions from council?
Mayor, I saw the plans that you had sent us for the park, and I noticed that it included an amphitheater. Could you tell us a little bit about what that would look like?
I am not sure. That's something that Lebanon Valley Conservancy and Rail Trail discussed doing. I think it's more, it would be like if someone wanted to, like on First Friday, wanted to have, you know, a little, because I'm not sure if there's going to be electric that people could just plug into, like the public could plug into it. So all of those.
Yeah, and I don't
details-
think there is, Mayor. Yeah, it's more of
Yeah,
a rustic.
Yeah,
That's what I was envisioning, yeah.
yeah,
Would make the most sense for that space, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Conn. Any other questions from council?
And just to add that there's also going to be a trailhead, a parking lot for 12 spaces. And that would be right off of Chestnut Street on the lower end, closest to where the rail trail crosses right now. which is closest to Maribel's location on the eastern end of the lot. And the park would go basically from where the rail trail is now all the way to 16th Street. And then another phase would involve North Cornwall Township and another park. And eventually we'll get to 22nd Street, and the rail trail and the county are looking for a grant, and North Cornwall to build a pedestrian trail along 22nd Street. And then we would eventually cross 422 at 22nd Street and go through and behind the mall to the Union Canal Park, which will be fantastic.
Mayor, they're actually looking at a new bridge that will go across the 22nd.
Okay.
And Mayor, did I hear you say we would get some stormwater credit for this park?
I don't know, Robin. I didn't discuss that.
Oh, I thought I heard you say something earlier about stormwater.
I did that it would help promote education.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
If I can, with the pollinator gardens, it should give us some credit. Those loads will have to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Any questions from media?
Yes.
Pedestrian trail.
Mary Louise?
Yes. The pedestrian trail at 22nd Street, but who did you say would be building that? Was that the city or Cornwall, North Cornwall Township?
No, that's actually located, that project will be located in North Cornwall Township, and it would be the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail and whatever partners they would wish to join in that.
So the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail people are funding that then, the pedestrian trail.
I believe they're also trying to obtain a grant for that project as well.
Yes, most of it is through grants.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, resolution number 6 has been moved and second. Ms. Cheryl, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
Yes,
Mr. Wertz,
Yes.
Chairman Carey.
Yes, resolution 6 passed. So moved. Okay, that takes us tonight to resolution number 7, authorizing the proper officials of the city of Lebanon to file a grant application with the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for a feasibility study on the site of the footprint of the Coleman Memorial Park Lawther Memorial Water Complex. Do I hear a motion to adopt resolution number 7?
I would like to move to adopt resolution number 7.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Okay, it's been moved in second. Mayor, can you tell us about this grant application, please?
So basically this study would determine the best use of area where the pool is located now, and also to obtain additional citizens' input. It's a $30,000 project with a 50-50 match. The city applied to the county for the Marcellus Shale money for our match of $15,000. If we do not receive that particular grant, the city would not move forward with this study.
Thank you, Mary. Is there any questions from council on resolution number 7?
Is a feasibility study just sort of standard operating procedure in moving forward with something like this? Is it mandated that a study occur?
If you want to receive grant money from DCNR, you must do, if it's a small project, you have to do something similar to this, a feasibility study. If it's a larger project, like what we were doing at Coleman Memorial Park, it's a master site plan is what they call it. But again, in order to even apply for DCNR money, you need to have one of these. Now, the reason why we were not initially going to do it is because we had obtained citizens' input over the years as we were discussing the pool and held meetings on our own, and the amount of money that we could potentially get from a grant, we thought that putting a splash pad there, the amount of the cost of that project, that we could do it on our own without having to go through paying the additional money for a study and what we would need to do to potentially obtain that grant. But at our last public meeting, when council decided to demolish the pool, there was a resident who had asked a lot of questions of DCNR. And so our representative at DCNR suggested that we go ahead and do the feasibility study and take additional citizens' input. So we moved forward and applied again for our match with the county. But if we don't obtain that monies, we don't want to try and come up with $30,000 when we really felt that we did an appropriate amount of citizens' input, and feel that, and also with what the Coleman Park Board of Trustees had, they would like to see something involving water there as well. So, excuse me, we felt pretty confident that it was a good use for that area.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions on resolution number 7 from council? Any questions from the media?
Yes, Laura has a question.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. When do you find out if you got the Marcellus Shale grant? When would you find that out?
Janelle,
I'm sorry, what?
I was asking Janelle.
Oh,
I'm
When
sorry.
will we find out about the Marcellus Shale grant, if we would receive that or not?
I'm unaware. I haven't heard anything from the county. I don't know if they've delayed awarding those grants due to COVID-19, but we haven't heard anything from the county on that yet. Melissa, have you heard anything else? No. Okay.
No, I haven't heard anything else.
I
So,
can
but we'll have to-
double check with Jamie. I can follow up to see if there's any update on that.
Sorry,
also,
Laura.
okay, that's fine. Also, are there going to be parameters by which this study is undertaken, or are you basically throwing the doors wide back open to say, what do you guys, what does the public think, where people might come back and say, oh, we want a pool, or, we want a dirt bike track, or whatever they want? I mean, are there going to be some guideposts that you're going to try to gauge interest in?
Janelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't talked about the details of what would be involved with the study yet. But that's actually a good suggestion. Did Lori from DCNR give us any?
No.
we would do a request for proposals to hire a consultant, and we would kind of work with them. But I mean, we would kind of put together kind of like similar to our master site plans RFPs, like what we would like to see in this. So we would just take people's suggestions and have some public meetings and just take input and then kind of decide.
Hey,
Okay, was there any other questions?
no, not from me.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, resolution number 7 has been moved and seconded. Ms. Cheryl, would you call the roll on that, please?
Mrs. Keller,
I'm going to say no for that.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
No.
Mr. Wertz,
Yes.
Chairman Carey.
Yes. Okay, 2 noes, 3 yeas. That's resolution number 7 is so moved. Okay. Okay. That takes us to resolution number 8 tonight. It's amending resolution number 13, session 2016-2017, approving an agreement between the City of Lebanon and the Metropolitan Edison for providing LED street lighting service in the City of Lebanon to specify the upgrade of 198 street lights in multiple areas of the City of Lebanon to LED street lighting service, 141 sodium vapor and 57 mercury vapor street lights. Do I hear a motion to accept resolution, adopt resolution number 8?
I will make the motion to adopt resolution number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Okay. Now, Mayor, this is a continuing agreement with Med Ed, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's to continue upgrading lights in the city to LED. We have a mix of 141 sodium vapor and 57 mercury vapor. So it's just like you said, a continuation of upgrading, hopefully, eventually, all of the street lights in the city to LED.
Okay. Any questions from council on resolution number 8? Okay. Any questions from the media?
No.
Okay. Resolution number 8's been moved and seconded. Ms. Sher, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Wertz,
Yes.
Chairman Carey,
Yes, 5 yeas. Resolution number 6, so number 8, I'm sorry, so moved. Okay. That takes us to our next resolution, number 9 tonight, amending bill number 13, session 2018 through 2019, the same being the budget for fiscal year 2020, to change the title of an account number in the Bureau of Fire and to correct the budgeted amount for natural gas and electric in the Bureau of Fire. Do I hear a motion to accept resolution number 9?
I will make a motion to adopt resolution number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mayor, this looks like a accounting adjustment,
Yeah,
correct?
it is. It's just an error that was made when the resolution was typed up. We had changed from oil to gas at Fire Station 3. And so the category just wasn't changed from heating oil to natural gas. And the electric, that line item is right next to it. They were flipped, the 3,000 and the 3,500. So this is just to correct an error.
Okay, fine. Any questions from council on that? Any questions from the media?
No.
Okay. Resolution number 9 has been moved and seconded. Ms. Sher, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Wertz,
Yes.
Chairman Carey,
Yes, resolution number 9, so moved, 5 yeas. Okay, that takes us to the last resolution of the evening. It's resolution number 10. It's amending the annual plan for the CDBG program with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the fiscal year 2019 to include the additional funding received for the response to COVID-19. Do I hear a motion to adopt resolution number 10?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 10.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay. Resolution number 10's been moved and seconded. Mayor, what is this additional funding in response to COVID-19.
Okay, so to protect the health and safety of residents, the governor ordered non-essential small businesses to shut their doors and essential businesses like restaurants to immediately and radically change their business model. So these policies have created incredible challenges for our small business owners and businesses that give Lebanon City its unique identity and filling storefronts, creating jobs, contributing to our economic vibrancy that really makes Lebanon such an amazing place. So we were notified that we could potentially receive $391,481 of additional CDBG monies that would have to be used specifically in response to COVID-19. And some cities are using this for the economic and housing impacts that are caused by COVID-19. Pending approval from HUD, we would like to use it for the Lebanon Small Business Recovery Assistance Fund. And this money would be used to support the city's mom and pop businesses with annual revenues of less than $1 million. And these businesses that provide key services for people who work and live in the city. These business owners are the most vulnerable to the economic impacts of COVID-19. And few of these businesses really have the ability to operate via virtual settings. So federal resources, including the CARES Act, provide very limited benefit to the smallest business owners. And we would like to offer recovery assistance to these types of businesses located in our city, particularly those, and they would have more of a priority, those who could not access federal and/or state COVID-19 emergency funding. And this would be in the form of a forgiveness loan. It would be a 3-tier program depending on their annual revenue. There would be a $2,500, $5,000, or $7,500 amount. We anticipate that between 50 and 100 businesses would obtain funding from this fund. We recognize that some of our small businesses in our community will face non-recoverable losses and really aren't in the position to take on more debt. So therefore, that's why we're recommending this to be a forgiveness loan. And it's fairly easy. In order to be accountable, we would just ask them, okay, if you were going to use this for rent or for payroll or for utilities or clean, whatever, that they just have to prove that they used it for that. They couldn't use it to go on a vacation to Jamaica. They would have to use it for what they applied for. And again, they could use it for working capital to restart a non-essential business or to sustain an essential business, rent, utilities, payroll, and any other use that HUD would allow us to. Now, who would administer this for us would be Community First Fund. They are a private, independent, nonprofit community development financial institution, a CDFI, which you need to be able to provide loans. So you have to be a CDFI to run a program like this. City staff are not certified to do that. So typically they provide a Community First Fund. They provide capital in places where it's not usually available. And they seek to create positive change in a community by providing entrepreneurs with access to business development loans for projects that generate jobs, create affordable housing, and help to revitalize communities. And so again, we're going to partner with Community First Fund. They'll act as the intermediary for the fund by processing the application intake, providing technical assistance, preparing the loan documents, dispersing the loan, and then also evaluating it for the loan forgiveness portion of it. So upon council's potential approval tonight, we would start working on finalizing the details with Community First Fund. We would start to promote the program, and hopefully while all that's going on, obtain our approval from HUD that we can expend the monies as we're proposing here tonight. We believe that the funds would potentially be dispersed in early July. We would open up, we anticipate that we would open up the funding period approximately the 3rd week of June. And you'd have to submit some very simple documents, but Community First Fund is extremely helpful, and they'll help walk a company through, because again, we know that our smallest of businesses don't necessarily use an accountant for, you know, their payroll or their tax documents and whatnot, that they tend to do things on their own for the most part. So we want to help walk them through that and help provide them with some assistance.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I think this is an incredible opportunity and use of this funds to support our small businesses in the city of Lebanon. A lot of them are incredibly struggling. It would make just a huge financial help to them, and also a huge just mental help to them, just to know that we're all behind them too. And we want them to stay here, and we want them to continue to succeed and be in business here. Is there any questions on this resolution from council?
Just had a quick one about the Community First Fund, Mayor. Is this our first project partnering with Community First Fund as a city, or have we done other things with them?
No, we've done other projects with them. Probably the biggest project was the shops at the bridges.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. They're a great organization, so it's a good partnership. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions from council? Any questions from the media?
Yes. Mary Louise.
Yeah. I believe you said that Community First is going to handle the application. So do they choose the businesses that are going to get the funding?
So what will happen is we're going to have an open application period. And so any business that's interested would apply. And then we'll look to see, okay, is there more business that have applied than is money? And then if there are, we'll start prioritizing. And some of the priorities will be if you have not received any money from any other federal or state agency, if you have like a storefront where you couldn't necessarily be open because you're all about in-person operations and you couldn't operate virtually. We'll look at their location. Is it in the central business district? That may give you an extra point, but everything will be spelled out ahead of time. And then Community First Fund will be unbiased, and they'll look and grade. There'll be like a grading sheet, and they'll score everyone. And then that's how they'll determine who would get the money or not. But there's several factors.
But they have the last, or they kind of have the final word, looking at all the different criteria. But they have the final word on which businesses will get that money.
Right, and they won't be changing the rules after people submit. So like the program would be established with the criteria, and then we would open it up and the businesses would submit, and then they would be scored based on the written criteria.
And you said that would be about early June when they could start submitting?
Yeah, probably mid to the third week of June.
Okay.
Our potential opening date is June 24th.
Okay, so like mid to late June. And then I had one more question about that. The 3-tier program, could you mention that again? I didn't get those figures.
Yes. So if the business has an annual revenue up to $250,000, they would be eligible for a $2,500 forgiveness loan. If their annual revenue is $250,001 to $500,000, they would be eligible for a $5,000 forgiveness loan. If their annual revenue is between $500,001 and $1 million, they would be eligible for a $7,500 forgiveness loan.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the media? And council, everybody good? Okay. Okay. Resolution number 10 has been moved in second. Ms. Cheryl, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Wertz,
Yes.
Chairman Carey,
Yes. 5 yeas, resolution number 10, so moved. Okay, moving on with our agenda tonight. We have one ordinance, bill number 1. It is on introduction. And it is adopting the City of Lebanon zoning ordinance, dividing the City of Lebanon, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania into zoning districts with varying regulations, permitting, prohibiting, and regulating the uses of land, water courses, and other bodies of water, the size, height, bulk, location, erection, construction, expansion, raising, removal, and use of structures, the areas of dimensions of land and water to be occupied by uses and structures, as well as open areas to be left unoccupied, establishing the maximum density and intensity of uses, providing for the administration and enforcement of this ordinance in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code as amended, including provisions for special exception uses and variances to be administered by a zoning hearing board, and establishing provisions for the protection of certain natural features. And this is bill number 1 on introduction. And I would like to make a motion to adopt bill number 1. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, bill number 1's been moved in second, and all I can say is you ought to try reading that with progressive lenses. Okay, Mayor, that was a mouthful. We did have at our pre-agenda meeting, Charlie from the zoning people, the company up in Allentown that's been working on this for 2 years, has had meetings with all sorts of different committees and people, and has brought us a new zoning plan that brings us up to date with, as we talked with Charlie, modern day language that it takes away a lot of gray areas and makes things in very modern legal terms, black and white and such. Mayor, can you add a lot more to this here for us, please?
I can add a little bit. So the city had created a steering committee, and our steering committee was made up of city officials and other stakeholders who were familiar with issues associated with zoning. And not only zoning, but our Grow Lebanon 2020 plan, our city's economic development program, and the early intervention program. So it was the city's community and economic development team, our zoning officer, our public works director, John Tice, who was or is a retired commercial realtor and the former bid manager. And then we included Amy Kopecki as the current downtown manager, and myself. And not only because I'm the mayor, but also because in a former life, I was the chief zoning officer for the County of Lebanon for approximately 10 years. So we wanted people that, again, had a background in zoning, land use, development, and economic development. So I felt like we had a good team. Every month we met with Charlie, who is superb. He's the vice president of Urban Research and Development Corporation, and he did a tremendous job. He really knows his case law, and really, like you said, brought us up to date to today's times. We also conducted key person interviews. We included the city engineer, a downtown stakeholder, a major property owner, a realtor, a county planning staff person, city council president, a representative from the Historical Society, a representative from the Latino community, a representative from the city's planning commission, and a representative from the zoning hearing board. Because one of the things you want to achieve is you want to modernize your ordinance so that you don't have a lot of zoning hearing board cases. So again, the intent was to be more user-friendly, pro-economic development, address nonconformities that exist in our community, and just kind of be flexible with the uses, which is pro-economic development. So again, we spent a lot of time on this, had the public outreach with meetings at the planning commission level and at our city council level. So I feel pretty good about it. There are a couple of things after we get this adopted that we want to go back in and tweak that came to light after we gave the initial notice. So like I mentioned on Thursday, we need to get this adopted because of the floodplain regulations and a deadline there. But after we adopt this on final, we have a couple tweaks that we'll bring back to you. But again, we feel, I believe I can speak on behalf of the committee, that this is a good ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor, for all your hard work on this. Is there any questions from council on this bill number 1? I would like to say that, you know, we're all kind of like stuck in this COVID-19 period. But even still, it's moving ahead with the zoning and moving ahead with this new kind of up-to-date measures that we continue. Lebanon continues to be the place to grow. We're going to still continue to grow as a city, and we're going to still continue to move ahead, no matter what we face. You know, and there's, you know, we look at the budget and stuff, but we're gonna work our way through this, and we're still going to continue to grow, and we're still going to be the kind of quality place that we've always been. Okay, is there any questions from media?
No.
Okay, all right. Bill number 1 on introduction has been moved in second. Ms. Cheryl, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Wertz,
Yes, well said, Wayne.
Chairman Carey,
Yes. Bill number 1 on introduction, 5 yeas, so moved. Okay. Okay, that ends the official part of our agenda tonight. Does anyone from council have anything for the good of the city to share? Questions, comments, or for the good of the city? Okay. Any questions or comments from the media tonight?
Yes. Laura.
Hi there. I did have 2 quick questions for Chief Briner because I didn't want him to feel left out from commenting during this meeting. Chief, very quickly, your news release last Friday detailing that riot or that melee on the first block of South 11th Street, Monday the 18th. You indicated that at one point, one of the parties that was arrested, Ms. Torres, 2 dogs came out of her house or were taken out of her house and they bit 2 officers. And I'm just wondering, were they bad bites or just little nips or what?
One officer was bit on his boot. He has an 8-inch work boot on, so the dog bit the bottom of the boot, so he was not injured. The other officer was bit in the calf, and yes, he was injured. It did not require medical treatment, but did break the skin.
And were the dogs, you know, I mean, was it properly vetted that the dogs had been up to date on their shots and such?
That is currently being worked on. It's in the process. They have 10 days to provide proof of license and vaccine, rabies vaccine.
What kind of dogs?
I don't know that. I can't be positive.
Okay. The other question for you, Chief, is do you have, and I apologize if I missed any sort of release or anything about this, but with regard to the 2 individuals that were found dead, one in the Quiddy and then the other one by Maribel's a few days earlier, I know that they had autopsies conducted. Did we get any results from that in terms of cause of death?
No, ma'am, we have not. The autopsy results, the final results take several weeks before they return to us.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
You are welcome.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Okay. Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to.
Motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. God bless Lebanon. Continue to see us through this time. Everybody stay safe, and hopefully there'll soon be a time when we can be person to person sitting around a table instead of looking at a screen. Okay. Mayor, anything else? to add?
Amen.
Okay. All
No,
right.
sir.
Everyone take care.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the weather.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Bye,
Good night.
everyone.